Oh, there went my voice. Every October, thousands and thousands of knitters, spinners, and makers flock to the Hudson Valley, to a little town, a very little town called Rhinebeck, for the New York Sheep and Wool Festival. And today I'm going to take you through all of my biggest tips if it's your first time visiting the festival. By the way, I'm Courtney. I'm a knitter, a spinner, and a part-time artist. If you enjoy New England videos, a little bit of bookish content, a little bit of crafting, and some art, then definitely stick around. So this video assumes a couple of different things. For one, it's your first time going to New York Sheep and Wool, but I'm also assuming that you already have your accommodations and you have some means of travel. So if you haven't booked already, all of the hotels are full. Everything is full within at least a 30-minute radius. So make sure that you've booked early if you're watching this in a future year. But I'm mostly going to focus on the tips for people that have already gotten everything, all of the logistics together, and just want to have a good time at the festival. And I also hope you have an extra day maybe in there to enjoy some of the sites outside of the festival. And that's really my first tip, is to make sure you have some time to check out Rhinebeck. Go to some of the restaurants for dinner. I highly recommend Cinnamon. It's the Indian restaurant right there in downtown Rhinebeck. It is really fantastic, but definitely get reservations ahead of time for any of the restaurants in town because, I mean, there's thousands of people that have just descended on this very tiny little town. So make sure that you've thought about reservations and where you might want to eat after a long day of shopping. Then the other thing that I really enjoy is going to some of the shops around that area. There's a really great bookstore. There's also an art supply store, and several other really cute little businesses that you should definitely check out. And if you have a car available, I would also recommend going just a little bit north to Red Hook. And on the way, especially if you can swing by there in the morning, I would stop by Mighty Donuts. They have some of the best donuts I have ever tasted with really unique flavors, and I absolutely love stopping by there in the mornings if I have time before the festival. Red Hook also has a lot of really cute shops, good restaurants. So if you're not able to get something in Rhinebeck and you have a way to travel, then Red Hook is definitely a really good option. I would also suggest taking a little bit of time to go apple picking, especially if you're driving distance from Rhinebeck and can haul your apples home with you. I really enjoyed apple picking last year, and I'm going to do it again this year because there are several different orchards in the area that have some great late season varieties, so you can check their websites out to see what is available to pick, and they also have pumpkins and things like that. So if you have a car and can get to one of those, I would highly recommend spending the whole weekend and really seeing all of the sites in the area. So in terms of the festival, many of you have probably heard of the Rhinebeck sweater. There's even a book about the Rhinebeck sweater, and I'm currently working on mine. This is the Ooey Gooey Sweater, and I'll have the pattern linked down below. When this video comes out, it's about a month before the festival. So if you're a fast knitter, you would have time to make the sweater. But if you're like me, I have no idea if this thing's gonna be finished in time. I have no clue, but I think it's worth the effort. I really had some FOMO last year walking around and seeing everyone else in their Rhinebeck sweater. Everybody was matching. Everybody had done a little bit of a different take, whether that was different yarn. But I really wanted to try to knit the sweater this year, so I didn't miss out. I'm a slow knitter when it comes to sweaters. The fastest sweater I've ever made was 3 years. So We'll see what happens with this one. I don't have a lot of time. I have a day job that keeps me really, really busy. And then I also have my art business on the side. So I've had to kind of shift things around to try to get as much knitting time in as possible. But the reason that I would say try to knit the sweater anyway is because so many people were wearing their half-finished sweaters. Because it is knit top down. I'm already past the sleeves. So, you know, if this is as far as it is, I'm gonna put on a black t-shirt and I'm gonna wear my sweater unfinished with the needle still in it. I saw multiple people doing that last year, unfinished items with the needles still attached, wearing them around the festival, and everyone complimented them on it, and it was really fun to see. If you're a knitter, then you know that we're a really fun and welcoming group of people, so try as best you can to make the sweater. It's a lot of fun, and there's a big group picture. If you check the schedule, you can see when that is. So highly recommend at least giving the sweater a try. Then my next tip is to pack snacks. There is a bag check, but they do allow you to bring in outside food, but be responsible and respectful. There are awesome food vendors there, a lot of really good options for all dietary needs. But if you're like me, I get hungry and want a snack, just like an apple or maybe some crackers, something little like that, earlier in the day than maybe my friend is ready to go sit down and actually have lunch. So use your best judgment, especially if you're bringing kids or little ones with you. Know what you might need for them, and you can bring that into the festival, but it will be checked, so make sure you're responsible and respectful of the vendors that are there, and definitely go check them out. I also really recommend checking out all of the dessert vendors that are inside that have chocolate covered Oreos, chocolate covered nuts, all those really delicious kind of fair-like things. That was one of my favorites last year. So I do pack snacks, especially something like healthy and easy to carry like an apple. That was a really good choice last year, so I'll definitely be doing that again so that I can just have a quick little snack while I'm waiting on everything else. And the lines for lunch are really pretty long, so consider your timing around food and everything. If you've got some snacks, then maybe you can wait till the lines have died down a little bit and get in while it's not quite as crowded. So the thing that I didn't do last year that I really regret was thinking that I would have cell phone signal and could look things up on my phone. If you've ever been to a large sporting event or a concert, you know when you've got thousands of people together, it is really hard to get cell phone signal, and things are really, really slow because there's so much pull on all of the different carriers and data. So I really wish that I had written everything down and pre-planned and picked out a couple of patterns and either printed them out or gotten a little notebook like this and had things written down with the quantities, the possible colors, maybe even cut out a little picture of what the pattern looks like so I knew what I was shopping for without having to go on my phone every time and refresh and wait and try to find something and argue with my data gods as to whether or not I should be able to view this pattern and figure out what quantities I needed. So if you can, do some pre-planning, write things down in a notebook, and bring something that's offline with you so that you can make faster decisions than waiting around on your cell phone to load the pattern that you're trying to look at. Similarly, know where your priority vendors are. If there's something that you're looking for, let's say you really want some of Loopy Mango's amazingly soft yarn, make sure you know where they are on the map and make that your first stop. They will sell out really, really fast. The more popular vendors and vendors that have exclusive Rhinebeck colorways, those things are going to be gone pretty quickly. So look at the map ahead of time, plan out what your priorities are, and chart your course accordingly. Also, think about the souvenirs that you want. The souvenirs are actually available to order online ahead of time and you pick them up at the festival. We didn't do that last year. We got in line and that was the first thing we went to because we knew that we wanted a souvenir from the actual festival more than any particular yarn from any of the vendors. So we stood in line. We got there, like that was the first place that we went right when we got in, and it was probably about 45 minutes to an hour of standing in line to get to the actual merch tent. So, and we were the first in line, and the merch tent are super efficient, but there's so many people in there trying to buy so many different products that it really does take quite a long time to get through those merchandise tent lines. And by the time we got out, the line was like 2 hours deep. So I really would suggest ordering ahead. However, there is still a line to pick up your ordered ahead stuff. So make sure you know which line to get in if you did order ahead. And the early ordering or the pre-ordering for the festival merch opens September 15th. So you can do that online if you want to grab some merch, but not stand in the bigger line. But if everybody starts pre-ordering, then we're going to make that other line bigger. So I don't know why I'm telling you this. I should keep this secret to myself, but I'm sharing with you because I'm a nice person. So order ahead if you want festival merch. I'm probably going to do that, and we'll see how long that line is, and I'll let you know later if that was some bad advice or not. Then, like any other outdoor festival or event, consider the things that you might want to have handy, like a external charger for your phone, a backup battery, something like that if you're going to be taking a lot of pictures and videos. I suggest bringing a blanket or towel or something to sit on the grass, because there are areas for seating for the food vendors. So if you grab a bite to eat, there are some tables and things, but a lot of them are in the sun, and all of the shade is on the grassy areas where there aren't a lot of seats. So if you are someone who's able-bodied and who can go sit on the grass, I would recommend bringing a towel or something so that you can take your food over there and free up seats for folks who are less able-bodied that need those seats. And then also you're in the shade, so that's helpful as well. So definitely consider bringing like a small little like fold-up black blanket or a really lightweight towel or something, because sitting on the grass was definitely preferable last year because it was very, very hot. That's the other thing. Rhinebeck is rain or shine, so pack a compact umbrella or a poncho or something like that, because you never know what the temperature is going to be, and it's going to fluctuate throughout the day. It was very hot last year, and most of us ended up taking off our hand knits. So I'm knitting this sweater out of 50% cotton yarn because I'm assuming it's going to be warm this year, but I could be very wrong and it might be very cold, so we'll find out. But pack accordingly. If you're coming from out of state, no one knows what the weather is going to be up here. There's not a clue. It could be absolutely pouring rain and freezing. It could be 75 degrees and hot. So use your best judgment, pack a variety of things, definitely think about layers, and think about plans in case it rains. Then obviously pack bags. Collapsible bags, those little grocery store bags that like fold into a little pocket and tuck down into themselves, because you're going to be buying way more than you thought that you would if you saw those TikTok videos last year, how much you thought you would spend at Rhinebeck versus how much you actually spent. It's very true. So pack collapsible bags that you can pull out of your larger bag in case you need more storage. They will let you walk out of the festival, go to your car, and then they bag check and like check your stamp and everything on the way back in. So if you have managed to park close enough that that's a feasible thing that you can do, then you can take stuff out to your car. But if you've parked really, really far away, which happens to most of us, then you're going to want to have a lot of those bags, and also carefully consider your purchases. I wouldn't buy a ton of books or a spinning wheel until the end, because that's going to be pretty heavy to carry. Then if you want to see other things like some of the sheep judging or the sheepdog trials, make sure you get there early, because there aren't a lot of seats. And at least for the sheepdog trials last year, where they were held, it was really hard to see. It was kind of on a flat area, and there were, I think, one thing of stadium seats. Other than that, it was just like 8 deep of people, and I'm a very short person. I could not see over all of the people to see the sheepdog trials. So if that's something you really enjoy watching, make sure you get there early. Same thing for the judging. That was a little easier to just kind of walk up to and see. The seating was pretty limited there, but prioritize those things that you want to see and enjoy, and definitely get there early, because the seating and the visibility, the access is a little bit challenging in some cases. My biggest tip is really to just enjoy the day. The other thing that I'm sure you've heard other people say, but you really can't see it all in one day. So I would not suggest trying unless you're gonna walk through everything without shopping. Then you can probably see it all. But we were there from gates open to gates closed on Saturday last year, and there was absolutely no way to see everything. We did not make it to every vendor. We did not make it to every barn or tent. So pace yourself. If you're there over 2 days, that's fantastic. But if you're kind of a one-day festival person and then you're exhausted, that's fair too. So that's why I'm really saying prioritize, plan ahead, make sure you know what you're buying, make sure that you know what vendors you want to go to. If you want to spend time seeing the sheepdog trials, if you want to see the animals and take pictures of them, make sure you know which things really matter to you. and spend your time on those, and don't worry about the rest. There are tons of vendors. There's always new stuff every year. So just enjoy your time, enjoy the day there, enjoy the 2 days if you go for both, and make sure that you have a lot of time and are just present and enjoying your time with fellow makers and admiring all of the things that people have created, because it's such an amazing event to get to see the creativity, the inspiration, all of the raw materials that you could start your next project with. It's just such a wonderful weekend. It's one of my favorites of the whole year, and I can't wait for Rhinebeck this year. I hope to see you there. And if you have any questions that I didn't cover in this video, definitely leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you're going, if you're knitting the Ooey Gooey, and how that's going for you. And I hope you're having a great week wherever you're at, and I'll see you in the next one.
Made that giant